Join the Women Who Code Hackathon for Social Good 2023 and use your superpowers to create a solution for the social good. The hackathon offers an amazing and engaging learning experience for the Women Who Code community while we develop projects that promote social good.
Hello everyone. Welcome.
Hi everyone.
Ideation to Impact workshop today. We're so excited to have you with us. Let us know where you're joining from today. Also, what social good causes you're most excited about. We're just going to give it a few moments to make sure we have all the participants that want to join us hop on today. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
The music was really amazing, wasn't it?
If you go to another, it'll get stuck in your head.
People are joining from all over the world. I can see London, Seattle, Singapore.
Hello, Michigan and Texas, Madrid, Spain. Oh, how nice. Watching it all over the world. Great representation. That's what's so much fun about our events.
Bahrain, Barcelona, Spain again, Florida, India. Oh, wow, that's so amazing. I really love how Women Who Code connect women and girls from all over the world.
Hello in Toronto. I'm glad to see you're interested in sustainability, health, and well-being. That's exciting. Those are some prime topics.
I really look forward to seeing all the great ideas for this hackathon and all the projects that will be implemented. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yes. Hi, Heather. I'm also in the Bay Area as well. It's nice to see you're passionate about animal welfare. We're going to review some of the projects from last year that I think you'll like to see. We're just going to give it a few more moments. It's so wonderful to see all your comments.
Hello to Colombia, India, Peru, Nigeria, France, Paris. Amazing. Literally from all over the world.
I thought I turned my Slack notifications off, but they're still pinging me somehow. So I apologize if you hear that go off during the talk. I'm sure we can all relate. Oh, thank you for sharing your LinkedIn profile as well. That's quite nice. It's wonderful to connect with one another outside of the event. And Stephanie did write in the comments too, this will be recorded for anyone who wants to catch it later. Oh, so sorry about that.
There's some very interesting ideas popping up on the chat about safety and security, animal welfare, environmental awareness. It's fantastic. I really look forward to it.
Indeed.
Women empowerment, women safety, so many great social causes. Hi, Portugal. Really happy to have you here with us today.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, give us your last few comments and we're going to go ahead and get started. And without further ado, we'd love to welcome you to our Hackathon for Social Good from Idea to Impact workshop. We're so happy to have you here with us. If this is your first time creating a product or an idea that you would like to put in production, this is the right place to be. So thanks so much for joining us and taking your time today. So we are Lindsey Robertson. I'm the Leadership Fellow for the Women Who Code Data Science online track.
And I'm Maria Terzi. I'm the Leadership Fellow for Women Who Code Emerging Tech track. And I'm super excited to be here with you today.
Oh, that's I'm so sorry. Okay, great. Thank you. And Maria, we're so happy and fortunate to have you with us as well. And you'll get to hear plenty from her towards the end of the talk as well. So none of us would be here today without our guiding principles. and without the mission. So the mission is to empower diverse women to excel in technology careers. And our vision guides us. It's a tech industry where diverse women and historically excluded people can thrive at every level. And the Code of Conduct mission is something we take very near and dear to our hearts and very seriously. If you'd like to read it in full detail and access the incident report form, there's a URL on the slide at the bottom. The main idea is that we are just here to support one another. We're a very inclusive community, and we do not tolerate harassment of any kind. So we just ask that everyone is very open and abides by our code of conduct when interacting and engaging in activities with the Women in Code community. So just to review our schedule for the upcoming weeks, we had the opening ceremony yesterday. It was so wonderful. So much great information was shared there. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for pulling that together and making it a wonderful, exciting event for everyone. Today, we're doing the From Idea to Impact workshop. Then we'll continue with our asynchronous participants developing their projects. And the top project announcement will happen October 31st. Then we'll get to see all the demonstrations on November 4th and get to engage in the closing ceremonies where the top participants and winners will be announced. And today, just to go over a quick agenda, we have the makings of a successful project. Then we're going to review product ideation techniques and user-centric design. We're going to discuss data and emerging technologies and social impact and tools and resources that you can use. So one thing I'd like to mention is that there's going to be a lot of information thrown at you. There's a lot of links and resources we put together in a document that will be uploaded to our expo for the event later on today. So if you feel like you're going to miss something, don't. You'll get to go back and review that later on. And I promise you there'll be plenty there for you to use. All right, let's review success stories. So what is hackathon success? One example that I really fell in love with when I was kind of reviewing this is the Microsoft Accessibility Hackathon from last year. Asclepius, a team of Thailand high schoolers, developed this text application that allowed deep learning models to capture movement sequences of body signatures and predict alphabets and words. So they could literally communicate with people with hearing disabilities with sign language. It was such an amazing topic and amazing solution, really. And there's going to be a link to that in the resources as well if you want to read it further yourself. But what made it so exciting and successful was that it answered and addressed a clear problem statement. And just to get you familiar with problem statements, what the problem statement would have been in this scenario is, how can AI accurately translate American Sign Language into readable text to facilitate communication for individuals with hearing disabilities? Very specific. And then they rapidly prototyped a functioning and usable product for the community they aimed to serve. Okay, so let's review the winners, or the top participants from last year at our Women in Code Hackathon for Social Good. These are so exciting. So Multicultural Marvels put together a website called Kajojo Donations, and it was aimed to help women who were recently released from prisons in Ontario, Canada. And what they did was they used a website called Kijiji, where it was a marketplace for low-cost items, and they kind of did a play on words there. They web scraped nearly the nearby areas that were offering free or low-priced items, emailed those users to offer them to donate them to a local charity, and then directed them back to the Second Chance Foundation, which is the charity that offered these products to the women who were just released from prisons. What they did was they used Django as a localhost framework, Python and Beautiful Sloop to do the web scraper. They used Postgres database on AWS Lightsail, and they were in talks with Kijiji to be allowed to use their data through an open API, which is really exciting. They were trying to get buy-in from their resources. And then they had future plans to expand to other charities and marketplaces. Another really awesome one was Recycle Ninja, and they aim to reduce waste by supporting individuals with making recycling decisions. There's always so much information thrown at you, no matter where you live, and you're not sure what you're supposed to do with your waste half the time. So what they did was they used a Selenium package to scrape a list of common materials with relevant links from various city recycling programs and regulations. They placed that into a database with categories and instructions for recycling using SQL. And then with Python as the primary programming language, they used a Flask package, HTML, CSS, and Heroku for deployment, and Plotly, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and Pandas libraries as well. Just to kind of throw all those at you, once again, you'll have these in a list of resources. So this one in particular, we have a link to in our resources page as well, if you would like to read the blog about their project. The next one was Rescuelytics for all those animal lovers out there. They wanted to limit the euthanizations and increase the number of dogs going to homes out of the shelters in the Chicago area. So what they did is they pulled data from Pet Finder API for dogs within a 100-mile radius of their local area. They created a publicly available interactive data dash to analyze how different dog characteristics may correlate with the average length of stay prior to adoption. They used Python requests from API, and then they used Pandas libraries for the scraping and cleaning. SQL Alchemy, Pandas, once again, SQL, Postgres database, Streamlit, Matplotlib, and Heroku for the viz and application. They focus on being able to filter by breed and length of stay. They could drill down on other characteristics like gender, age, behavioral information, etc. And the filters are really easy to use, and insights were organized and clear. And you could see the trends of lengths of stay, which is really exciting for people that wanted to solve this problem in their shelters. And they planned on expanding the data set to other local areas. They built for that in mind. And they also planned on using other fields from Pet Finder, like organizations and actual listing content as well. So really well executed projects here. Let's talk about some of the key elements that make a really good project, since we just reviewed those 4 amazing projects there. First and foremost, you need to have a very clear problem statement, a very specific challenge that aligns with your interests, preferably, to focus your project on and list out your objectives. Here are some areas that are pretty impactful and always in need of help. And I'm sure out of this list, you can find things like poverty and food security and animal welfare. There's a ton here. I think anybody that is doing a social good project can probably be passionate about any of these fields. So just follow where your interests lie. So Maria is going to talk to us a little bit about the next key element. She's going to go into more detail later on about user-centric design. But essentially, we want to design with the end user in mind. You want to make it easy to use, and you want to make sure it serves the population you aim to help. And you want to maybe involve the community for perspective. Once again, she'll cover a lot more than that. So strong team collaboration is really important. Pick people that share your passion, experiences, and vision. You're going to want to focus on complementary skill sets and balance your areas of need out with different skill sets. So here's some examples for you of how you could do that. And I know it's a limit of 5, so definitely focus on your needs where your project is. So the next thing you're going to want to do is use technology to your benefit, right? It's a short timeline. You don't have a lot of resources at your fingertips. You're going to have to be really smart about how you do this. You're going to use free communication tools. We have the Hop-On, tool for you to use that Stephanie was mentioning yesterday at kickoff. Slack or Discord offer free tiers as well. You're going to use GitHub for version control. You can leverage existing tech that you already own, opt for open source software and pre-trained machine learning models. Look for APIs that offer free tiers. You can leverage some free tiers of cloud platforms like Google Cloud or AWS or Azure. And then also utilize platforms like GitHub Pages and Heroku and Streamlit sharing for development and fast testing of your applications. And rapid prototyping. So this is the most important part, right? Is we want to find that minimum viable product as quickly as possible and focus only on the most crucial functions. The nice to have features, we're going to leave those aside. And if you have time, then you can work on that. But ideally, you're going to want to just use the low fidelity wireframes for initial design. So it's for speed and flexibility. And if you are familiar with agile methods for your team, adopt those methods for quick iterations. And if you're not sure about agile, that is also going to be included in your resource list. And there'll be some methodologies you can incorporate in your project development. Okay, scalability. So with a small project in mind, you're probably not too concerned about how you're going to scale, but it's something to think about as a best practice for sure, because we want to think, what else can you do with this project later on? Because that makes a really great project. And the way to do that is to include ways to have easy to translate text fields and different flexible layouts for other cultures so you can expand your user base. Also, you're going to want to design the backend with modularity in mind. So encapsulating all of your features into microservices, kind of like Lego blocks you can add or remove. Using containerization methods like Docker, you're going to want to be able to do that because you want flexibility with your programming languages and you want to be able to communicate seamlessly with the different code bases that you're going to add later on. Then you can implement some other strategies like caching strategies for improving load times, and then things like horizontal scaling with your databases so you can handle increased loads. Once again, maybe it's not something that's top of mind for a small project like this, but when you're thinking large scale and maybe a project that you continue later on, these are really good considerations. I'm so sorry about that. I think I just have too many Slack accounts. Strong pitch and execution. So this indeed, once again, you might not be continuing this project later on, but it's always something to have in the back of your mind, because some of these projects could turn out fantastic to work on after the hackathon. You might even secure partnerships or sponsorships, or even go on to try to get funding later on. But the way to do that is to make sure you're able to communicate that value of your solution really clearly, that you can make sure that it's going to be integrated successfully, right? And the solution will actually be used. Make sure you can communicate that when you're presenting. Okay, so some ideation techniques. First and foremost, we need to talk about problem statement once again. And we can't do that without identifying the problem. There's a way to go about doing this, actually, that will help kind of make it clear for you. And we're all familiar with SMART objectives, right? Or SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So that's how you start with your good statement. So while we walk through kind of this mental exercise to kind of learn how to build a problem statement and how to build an idea, we're going to use this example below as kind of like your, just your ideation example. So like, just imagine you're part of a nonprofit team and you're trying to provide education resources to underserved children. And your mission is to do that during COVID. And you want to increase access to learning materials. This is going to be kind of the context and the situation at hand that we're going to use as a mental kind of exercise in the back of your mind as you're reading and learning all this content I'm about to throw at you. Okay, so then from here, what I like to do is I like to kind of organize my thoughts out, and I kind of like to use a worksheet of this nature, which it will also be provided to you in your resources, that will help you kind of drill down on the things that you need to think about specifically. So a problem statement is essentially an hypothesis formation. So it's, what problem are you trying to solve? Take those SMART goals and SMART principles and roll them into this problem statement. And it should probably be no more than 2 sentences. So it's very concise and very clear. And the way to kind of expand that problem statement into an idea starts with all of these 6 steps here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to want to focus on the context. So why are you working with the problem? Think about how the initiative may solve the problem alongside any implications that it will have for the community you're trying to serve. So, you have the problem, but how is it impacting your community? The context around the problem is really important. It's the story that goes along with the problem there. So with the underserved kids, if they don't have access to materials, then of course there's going to be inequity in their education, right? It's going to lead to long-term problems. And these are all things that you want to think about in context. So in criteria for success, we want to ensure the scope of your work is clearly defined and understood. Otherwise, if it's not defined, it can result in mismatched expectations. So really clearly define with your team what constitutes success with your projects. How will it make impact on your problem statement? What does it look like? And then you're going to want to scope your solution space. And if you don't do this effectively, then you can end up with mission creep, or as we like to, say, the scope is just out of control. And when that happens, your solutions may not be understood or scalable or even implementable. Something to really do effectively is just the specific items that you need to do, right? And not to kind of get all that pie in the sky and get, down a rabbit hole, as I like to say, because that's something that we can all tend to do, myself included. This is really helpful. Constraints with solution space is really important as well. So look forward into the project and see what problems you might encounter. Stakeholder resistance, user adoption, resources are probably going to be a really common one with everyone here just working in hackathons. So think about those constraints clearly and how can you maneuver around them. So the important part is also stakeholder insight. So you're definitely going to want to identify the people who you want to speak to and get answers from as subject matter experts with your problem, or the people who might actually use your solution. Try to include them in the conversation. And the next one is kind of related to maybe data science is the field I come from, but it's definitely relevant for everyone. What are your key resources or data sources that you need to solve your problem with? Just be able to define highly targeted requests and actionable things that you need to go after, to include in your project. Excellent. So hopefully you all kind of took our problem and was thinking through this a little bit to kind of define the idea of how we're going to get some materials to underserved children during COVID, and we can use this to adapt into our problem statement exercise. Next, once you have that problem statement clearly defined, you've got all of your notes around the problem and the context and the scope, then we're going to start brainstorming and mind mapping, which is actually super fun. Take time to do this with your team with a goal in mind to generate ideas and concepts or approaches to address your problem statement that you just created, and ultimately find one to move forward with. So when you're brainstorming, the difference with that being is you're going to throw out a ton of ideas, like either verbally or written. I recommend just like a whiteboard or sticky notes, like whatever works for you and your team virtually. There's no rigid structure to this. But then when you move to mind mapping, you're going to want to have a visual representation of organizing those ideas into structures, emphasizing relationships and hierarchical connections with how those different ideas connect. It's kind of like, systems thinking. This is something you're going to want to do so you can, like I said, identify one of your approaches to move forward with. Okay, and then of course we have proof of concept. Is your project feasible? On a small scale, will it work? Those are the questions you're going to want to think through when you're doing proof of concept. Once again, subject matter experts are really helpful in this area. Gathering relevant data, benchmarks, and resources to inform your decisions. Test your functionality on a small scale. Not if you have a full product yet, but maybe just the pieces of it to see how things are working and iterate. Get feedback from your SMEs once again on the minor functionalities as you're developing. This will give you a strong proof of concept. In this small scale of hackathons, you're not going to have a lot of time to do this, but it's just, again, a best practice to think about. It's definitely not expected, but if you want all those key elements of a great project, this is definitely one of them. So like I said, once you iterate, you're going to want the goal is to move into your minimum viable product. And then what is that? The minimum viable product is the most basic version of your validated concept. It's a usable product. Like I said, with all the bells and whistles that you might have thought about aside, is it just doing what you set out to do? Is your solution meeting the goals that you put in the success criteria and the scope of your problem in your problem statement? So prioritize those features if you can early on and get feedback from users. And then just ask yourself, can the end user use it and does it have value? And essentially that's what you're going to want to do. So I'm going to back up really quick just to kind of help you think through this part here. Given our example with the educational, the ed tech or the educational solution you might want to create for those children during COVID with your nonprofit. So some questions you might want to ask here are, what technical components would be necessary to create a digital platform to deliver educational content? So how quickly can you test the platform to meet your specific needs of the target audience? And what are some potential challenges you might face and how could you address them during this phase before you get to minimum viable product? And what data might you need to gather during this phase to test its feasibility and potential effectiveness? So this is really kind of information gathering. And then some questions with our example in mind here to think about in our mental exercise are, what are the core features that should be included in the minimum viable product to identify the problem effectively? How can you meet the minimum viable product? Why? Still ensuring it provides significant value to your target audience. So yes, we want to have a very basic product, but is it so basic that no one's going to use it? It's not going to add value. The next question would be, what strategy for developing the minimum viable product rapidly, considering the urgency of the situation, could you do? So once again, you've done your mind mapping and you're going to want to kind of pick the most quick one and then test that with that question later on. And then how would you collect feedback from your target audience to make your minimum viable product more effective? So I know that was a lot thrown at you, but once again, the resources should cover a lot of this as well and have tons of links to the tools that you might want to use in doing this. And in our next phase of the workshop, user-centered design is going to go over a lot of that, as well as some of the tools and resources. So with that, I'd love to turn it over to Maria to continue on through the workshop and provide us even more information on how we can get going from taking our ideas to impact.
Thank you, Lindsey. That was amazing. So after developing, in order to develop a really good product that has the center in the user, one of the approaches that we can use is user-centered design. So user-centered design is an iterative design process in which the needs, the wants, the limitations, the pains and gains of the users of the product are given extensive attention in each phase of the design process. So while we develop our product and think about our product, we have the users in mind. So when we're designing the project, we're trying to understand the users, and we feed the information into our design process. Then we develop user requirements and user use cases, and we use all of this in each and every stage in order to ensure that we build something that people want. We build something that it actually covers the needs and is usable by our users. Why it is important? So by using the user-centered design approach, we are designing for the user, and we're ensuring that the product will be actually useful. And this has so many benefits for us and the company we're working for, or our startup. It enhances user experience. So by taking the requirements of the users in mind, we provide a better experience in our platform. And this also makes the product we're building easier for the people to use. We will not need so much training if we're building from the beginning something that they are intuitively ready to use. When we are thinking about the user and ensuring that we meet their requirements, we need fewer product revisions, because every step is carefully thought and carefully tested, and we consider their feedback for every process that we make. We want to build a product that supports the users rather than frustrating. So this is also a great benefit that we can we get. And then the users are more happy with the product, they engage more, they're more satisfied, they return back to the product, and at the end, we can drive product success either by sales or by engagement and usability. So in order to feed our product development process with the needs and the thoughts and the requirements of our users, we need to understand them. So we need to think about, who are the users of our product? Is it children? Is it the mothers? Is it the teachers? What are their tasks and goals? What they want to achieve using our product? What function or information do they need from the product? Are they looking for something specific? Can we provide it to them? How they want to use this product? And what is their environment? So if they're joining via internet, do they have a high internet connection, a low? Is it the speed okay? Are they going to be using laptops or phones? And how they think they should work. So it's easier to design a product if we understand how they are going to use it. So how do we learn more about our users? There are different techniques that we can utilize in order to understand and find more about them. We can have individual interviews, online surveys, focus groups, observations, usability testing scenarios, and personas. So I'm going to go through each of those techniques and talk a little more about them. So the most intuitive and I think well-known approach are interviews. So you can have a one-to-one interaction with a potential user in order to understand more about them. So it helps you by asking the right questions. You can understand their perspective, their problems and their needs, their motivations, what they want to get out of this product, and the context in which they operate. This is super important, particularly at the beginning, when you are, even before conceptualizing the end project or product that you're going to build. For example, using the example we provided with the NGO, building a platform that will provide educational material to children, some example questions that we can ask ask the students and the parents is, how do kids initiate their learning sessions? So when they study at home, how do they start studying? I mean, what features do parents focus on overseeing their child's usage? What are any common interactions or distractions faced by the user? So these are important inputs that we can use to develop and design a good platform. The second approach, I'm sure you're all familiar with, is online surveys. So you can create questionnaire and you can distribute them over the internet in order to receive insights about your users. This is particularly useful for reaching a large number of people. It's more cost effective and quick rather than doing individual interviews with some of the users. And it can help you get like a very collective feedback from your market, let's say, the target audience, your users. So if you're creating like an online survey for students, you can ask what topics interest you the most, or which format do you prefer the educational material? Should it be videos, quizzes, readings, or games? So I'm sure that by asking these questions, you will receive valuable input that will help you define the features of your product and prioritize them as well. So if the students are more interested in maths, maybe you can first start with providing only math quizzes and videos, and then proceed into the next content. Because in product development, the prioritization and the selection of features is of utmost importance. It's like the most important step that you can do and can make your project a success or a failure. And for the parents, if you're creating an online survey to collect the input from the parent, you can ask them, are you satisfied with the quality of content available? So there are other educational material in the internet, or there are competitive platforms. How do you feel about them? Is it important for you, the safety of your child in these platforms? And then you can use online surveys at the beginning before even creating the product, but you can also use it later. So when you even have your first users, you can ask them, how do you find this product, and would you recommend it to other parents? Another approach that you can use, so we have talked about one-on-one interviews, we have talked about online questionnaires, and another important technique that you can use is focus groups. So in focus groups, you can call a group of users to gather the collective opinions. So after understanding who are the main users of your product or your project, you can then call them. So if we're building an educational platform, we can identify the students, the teachers, and the parents, let's say, that's gonna interact with this platform. So you could set up a focus group with only the students at the beginning and have a really good discussion with them, and then with the parents, and then with the teachers. So you can have different questions asked to them. So you can ask them their opinion about your platform versus the competitors. You can even have questions like, what are the most valuable resources for the platform? What are their concerns? And you can have either the groups individually to get their perceptions as a group, or you can even have a mix of them at the end in order to see the different discussion going on and what the one group prefers versus the other group. Another technique, a very simple technique, is observations. So you usually do the observations after you have developed a first MVP, as explained by Lindsey. So in observations, you literally just sit and observe how the users interact with your product or your service. And you can, through this observation, you can see if there's something that they're struggling with, if there's something that is not clearly explained. And what you can do is take notes as you observe them about the things that they find difficult. So maybe you can see a user staring at the screen because the letters are very small, or a user can take a lot of time to navigate through your menu, and which indicates that it might be a bit complex. Or you may observe and see a very unusual behavior, which again indicates that the user is either lost in the platform or is unsure about what's going to happen. Another technique that you can use which I think is one of the most valuable ones, are personas. So personas are like virtual characters, which are created to represent the different user types of your product, your service, or your project. So you create one persona for each target audience. Why to create user personas? Well, it helps you to understand your audience better. So you do have this virtual character that you can associate with. You can start giving shape to who the end user is. It helps a lot with the team to have a consistent brand language, so you can develop for this user, and also if you're doing any marketing efforts, talk to this user in the same language. So if you one of your personas, let's say, are children, maybe you want to promote your product in a way that children will like to use it. Or if you're promoting it for the parents, then you can change the language as well. Creating personas allows you to improve your product and make sure that this type of user has a good experience in your product and your project, and allows you to communicate and collaborate better. So using the personas allows you to understand what the user wants, their goals and their needs, and you can prioritize all your design and development efforts based on those needs. Using a lot of companies are currently using personas, like all the big companies are using personas in their development cycle, and it is evident that it gives a better understanding of the customers, which then leads to shorter design cycles and improved product quality. So let's say that you want to create personas for the project that you're building today. What should they include? So the personas must have some personal information. It's good to give them a name so that you can easily refer to them. Some demographic info to understand the context where they are, their localization. It's nice to have an image so you can put a face on this virtual fictional character. And you write down their goals and motivations for your product, what they're looking for when using your product, and also their needs and pain points. So their needs can be unmet needs that haven't been met by other products as far, but also what they are looking to achieve through your solution. So let's see an example. We're building on the example project of building a platform that will offer educational material to students online. So we can build a persona for a student, which is our first targeted audience and user of this platform. So let's say that we have Emily. Emily is 8 years old. She's from London. She's a student. And she's very tech savvy. So having the tech savvy level, it's important, particularly nowadays, that if you're building a technology product, because it helps you consider how simple the product should be, and if you need any further explanation on different elements of your design. So Emily, we wrote down some potential characteristics that she has. So she enjoys playing interactive activities. She does have a short attention span, and she is a visual learner and relies on simple navigation. So again, someone did an interview with some people or researched about students and figured out some of the characteristics that Emily had in order to create this persona. Her goals, Emily, is to learn new topics through engaging content. She would like to earn rewards or budgets for the educational material she goes through, and she also likes to share achievements with her friends. As needs, we decided that Emily will need engaging content, because the goal of this product is to help her learn. Is navigation to find out the different courses, progress tracking, social sharing features, because she needs to share with her friends all of her achievements. Her pain points, her challenges is that she doesn't like overly text-heavy content, which is available in the current available tools. She cannot have overwhelming interfaces. She wants feedback, and this is not actually provided by the competition. And she doesn't want to see any inappropriate content. So when building for Emily, we should consider all these characteristics and needs and pain points. Another persona that we can create is Mr. Johnson. He is a teacher. He lives in Barcelona. He's 45 years old, and he is not very tech savvy. So again, here we put some characteristics and goals and needs, so we can then go back to our platform and take into account all these different pain points and needs. So one of his goals is to set up profiles for kids and monitor their progress and provide supplementary resources. And his points are the insufficient parental controls. He cannot have direct communication with the educators, and current platforms offer excessive ads that he doesn't like. Another persona that we can create in order to cover the major users of our system is Helen. So so Helen is again a teacher, and she's looking for complementary materials for her class, and she wants to recommend good quality resources to the students, and she wants to track student engagement, and she needs analytics for the student engagement to ensure that her students actually achieve what they need to achieve. But in current approaches, she has a lot of privacy concerns. There is a lack of depth in the subject and mismatched content. So you see that when we create personas for each of the user, it's easier for us to brainstorm and understand the users, put ourselves in their shoes, and see how they will interact with the system and how the system will be of use and of benefit to them. So another approach that you can use is then use usability testing scenarios. These are tasks that the user can undertake using your product. So you can either develop a story or a specific task for a user or a specific group. And you can use one of the previously defined personas for a particular goal. So it's important that when developing user testing scenarios, you should never include information about how the task is accomplished. So you shouldn't reference anything about technology or if or how it is developed in your product. The usability testing scenario will show you how the participant will accomplish something and whether your interface actually facilitates completing this scenario. So let's say that we use our personas in order to develop some usability testing scenarios and see if it works. Emily, for example, it's our persona for the student. She wants to find a video lesson on fractions. How easily can she locate and play the desired video? So here you will go through the process that Emily needs to go in order to see and evaluate whether it's easy enough for her to do that. Or for Mr. Johnson, who is a parent and he wants to set up the profile for his 7-year-old daughter, how fast can he accomplish this? And another scenario could be for Helen, the teacher, who wants to recommend specific resources to her students, how she can create and share a custom list. So what you can do for the usability testing scenarios is actually have people that are in this role and ask them to use your product, to use your platform, and observe them while they complete those tasks. And nowadays, there are also online tools for user testing. So if you have a website, you can online set up a testing, and people can actually complete the tasks, and you can see how fast they're going to complete it, if they have completed it correctly, if there was any mistakes. So all these testings help to ensure that firstly you meet the needs, and then you meet them in a way which is actually usable for the user. So for user-centered design, it's important to ensure that the user is always in our mind when developing a product. We need to, because we're developing then a product that actually meets the user needs. It helps us boost the growth of the business. We are considering inclusive design. So in your target groups, you should, in your personas, you should have various and diverse personas that can cover and be and help you be as inclusive as possible for what you create. It can help you reduce the risk and the development costs, and at the end of the day, it enhances usability and builds the trust with the user. So to conclude this section, user-centered design ensures that the product is useful and is usable. And the most important, the most successful products are those that actually are covering the needs of the user, and they're covering in the way that is usable, actually of use, accessible to the users. So now we're going to go through a bit on the technologies that you can use. So we have talked about the processes and the methodologies, and we have talked about user-centered design, which is so important when developing a new idea for a project. But of course, there's so many technologies like data science and other emerging technologies that you can use to develop your projects. So for those that are not familiar with, data science is a science that helps identifying patterns, extract knowledge, and predict outcomes from structured or unstructured data, and allows you to make informed decision making. An example of a project that uses data science is a platform where in disaster response, it collects data from social media and satellites and other sources. It analyzes them, and then it identifies affected areas and helps to help allocate resources efficiently. So some of the tools that you can use that are under the data science category, you can use Kaggle for free datasets and free tier APIs. So there's so many datasets on very diverse topics. Do check it out if you need data to build a project. For manipulation and data analysis and cloud development, you can use Python and Jupyter Notebooks and Google Colab. For web scrapping, you can use Pandas, Beautiful Soup, Scrappy, Selenium, and Pandas. For visualization, you can use Matplotlib, Plotly, and Seaborn. These are just some libraries, indicative libraries that you can use for your projects. Of course, there's so many other tools that you're happy to use, and here we just provide some recommendations. I would be very interested to see projects that utilize machine learning. So for those that are not familiar, machine learning automates the data analysis in order to provide faster and more accurate insights for impactful decision-making and personalization. So you could use an approach of predictive analytics, for example, in order to predict disease outbreaks or predict areas that are most likely affected by natural diseases, and allowing to take proactive measures. So in such an example, you will find various data sets, you do some analysis and pre-processing on your data, and then you could use a classifier or a prediction model to make those predictions. In machine learning, you can also use algorithms for personalized healthcare recommendations, let's say. You can your application may track health metrics and predict health issues. based on the unique medical histories of people and their genetic data and their lifestyle habits. Again, there's so many machine learning tools that you can use. Some of the most popular frameworks where you can use models to train and apply models is PyTorch and TensorFlow. There's also Hugging Face, if you're not familiar with it. It's a community in the data science platform, which has a lot of tools that allows you to build, train, and deploy machine learning models. And Hugging Face only offers open source free technologies. So do have a go and experiment with it if you like. And of course, at OpenAI, there is a free tier to utilize APIs for large language models, and of course, GPT-4 and GPT 3.5. Google also has the Google Teachable Machine. This is a web-based tool that allows you to train a model without writing any code, and you can use it to do a quick prototype. There is also H2O AI, which again allows you to develop and test models. And the IBM Watson Studio, which again is a platform for machine learning models and the preparation and the analysis of data. For deployment, some technologies that you can use, Docker, if you want to containerize your app, you can use Flask and Fast API. If you want to create a really a web service that collects or sends data around, Fast API and Flask are super easy to use, and I think it's going to be easy for you to deploy them. There are so many tutorials that you can follow. And if you need platforms for deploying, managing, and scaling applications, Heroku, Netlify, and Vercel are some of those that you can use. Of course, we'll be very happy to see other emerging technologies also beyond machine learning and AI. So you can use blockchain, let's say, for transparent and secure data sharing. You can use IoT or virtual reality. So some example projects, just to spark some ideas to you, you can use blockchain in order to ensure the efficient distribution of humanitarian aid and ensuring that the aid will actually go to the people that need them. Or you can create a virtual reality space where people can share their communal experiences and foster understanding and collaboration between people that are in social divides. You can use IoT to optimize urban community gardens and make the production of goods in the community gardens more sustainable and more efficient, and also add some educational features on it. So here we just provide some ideas for you and some inspiration, but please consider the real needs that you have or your friends have or the community has, and develop solutions for them. Some tools that you can use for VR and AR is Unity and Unreal Engine. So these are engines that allows you to develop augmented reality and virtual reality applications. A-Frame is also a framework that you can use for building virtual reality experiences very quick. Facebook is offering Spark AR, and Google is also offering Tilt Brush if you're building something which is very artistic and has to do with spatial prototyping. For blockchain, some platforms that you can use and tools that you can use is Remix, which allows you to build in-static analysis and test blockchain based on Ethereum smart contracts. You can use Truffle Suite. Again, it is based on an Ethereum virtual machine, and it is a great development environment that you can utilize. And Ganache as well. It's another personal blockchain for Ethereum development, which allows you to deploy the contracts and develop applications and run tests. We have also added some tools about prototyping for voice and chatbots. So there is Dialogflow from Google that you can use to create conversational interfaces. Bot Society, it's another tool that you can use for planning and mocking conversational interfaces. But I'm sure that you all know many other tools, and particularly now with generative AI, that are available to you, and you can utilize them in order to create great projects. Oops. So to wrap this up, if you want to win this hackathon, you should address a real societal problem and offer a nice solution. So ensure that you meet the user needs, use user-centric design, and use the tools and the approaches we have discussed to understand your needs, to understand your users, their needs, their pains, and the gains. You can also include what you have learned from your users in your pitch. So you can explain your idea based on what people need and what people told you about the product that you are building. It's important to build an MVP, an early prototype of what you want to achieve, and demonstrate some level of technical feasibility. And of course, utilize the new emerging technologies and what they have to offer in order to solve those challenges. So now we have time for questions. If anyone has questions about the material we have covered, please add them in the chat. I think Lindsey is also going to join me for the Q&A session. Hi, Lindsey.
Hello, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Maria. So much information. Can't believe we did it in an hour.
It was exactly so on time. I really look forward to seeing all the different ideas and the projects that people are going to build. I really look forward to this hackathon.
Likewise, yeah. Definitely keep the conversation going in Slack. I mean, it's even fun to kind of kick around some ideas. If anyone has questions around an idea, I'm always open for that as well. And feel free to DMs.
Is commenting about the hacking phase. I really like this platform. So it offers all those open source machine learning models that you can use, and it's free. And if you have any restrictions of using ChatGPT or you want an alternative approach, do check it out. It's a great platform.
One of the most exciting parts about building a project, I think, is the ideation phase anyway. It's the problem solving of how you're going to approach getting a project done. There's so much to it. Once again, I'm so amazed we were able to throw all that at you in an hour. I know it was a lot, but once again, just please feel free to check out all the resources available to you. We put a really comprehensive list together. I'm sure it'll be helpful. And yeah, don't be shy on Slack. That's definitely utilize the community as well. Okay, Chantal has a question. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So Chantal is asking, do you recommend finding some academic reports and consulting for user research? What do you think?
I definitely concur. That is always a good idea when you're building projects. I know that there's a lot of time constraints, but you find a lot of valuable information, as far as implementing new ideas. That's the cutting edge place to go.
Yeah, and the academic reports and the consulting reports give you a good indication of how big is your market. So how big are the potential users of your project? So they're definitely a great resource, and it gives you an indication that you're building something that is actually useful. But also do reach out to potential users and ask them what they think about it, and if they need it, and if they have used any alternatives.
Great answer. Okay, we have another one here. If we don't have a team and have expertise in only one aspect, data analysis in my case, it will be difficult to complete an MVP. Any tips on that? Yeah, I mean, you're definitely gonna have some more challenges than folks with a good back end or front end ability to build out a product, a functioning product. That doesn't mean you shouldn't attack your problem. Even creating a dashboard, like you saw one of the examples earlier, creating a basic dashboard is a product that does help inform decisions. And that is a valuable product in a lot of areas. Data analysis is, I think, the bedrock of problem solving. So I think that you should definitely attempt it. And don't hold yourself to the same standards as teams with, data engineering and, front end and UX developers. You shouldn't do that. Your contributions will still be valuable.
And also, the MVP doesn't need to be like a complete product. It can be a function, it can be an API, it can be a library that you develop and other people use. So in that case, your end user will be other academics or other people that build products, and they can use this methodology or this function. So please don't be, it's the world. So please do develop it and submit your project. And as Lindsey said, one of the winners last year was actually a data analytics project, right? I mean, it wasn't a complete product. It was just a really good function that analyzes data and gives so many insights to people that need them.
Yeah, and Tableau Public, I think you're able to host, a dashboard for free online. It's a good resource to look into as well. Great question.
Absolutely.
Okay, Lynn. Follow-up question, best place to find academic reports?
Yeah, so I use Google Scholar for all my academic reports. So there's so many research papers. It really depends what the subject that the domain that you're researching on, but Google Scholar does offer a lot of academic reports. And for consulting reports, there are many. If you search about it, like in Google, you can definitely find a lot of numbers. So there are websites like statistics. I will find some and maybe drop them in the chat that can give you like good statistics about your market size or the problem that you're addressing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe we can put a link to that search resource there in the resources document as well. But I'm sure most are familiar with how to find Google's academic papers.
Yeah, so and all the links that we have mentioned during the presentation will be provided in the document, so that you can check them out and try some of them if you want to, and use them in your projects.
I see a great question in the chat here that perhaps maybe might be best responded by some of our hackathon admins about the grading rubric. And I think the concern is just being graded against a senior team who's building a full-on robot. And I don't think you should benchmark yourself against someone else's project. There's value at all levels.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're talking about social good, I mean, we want projects and ideas that actually serve this purpose. So as long as you're building something that people need and you have some technology there going on and some innovation factor, you will definitely be top of the leadership board.
And then Stephanie also put in the chat here for all that wanted to check out the information about the rubric. Go ahead. Yeah, the goal is just for it to be a learning experience and to focus on having fun, learning, growing professionally, and doing something good while you're doing that.
As a student and early in my career, I used to love going into hackathons, and the best thing about hackathons is actually the community and the people that you meet and the new technologies that you experiment with. It's not absolutely about winning. I mean, winning is not like it's great to win, but there's so many great things that you get from this experience, no matter if you win or not.
Oh, great question, Peyton.
So Peyton is asking, do you have guidance or suggestions if we wanted to develop a plugin or similar extensible functionality to an existing app? We may not want to reinvent the base app, but we want to demo its functionality. Great question. Lindsey?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a smart way to attack this too, with a given amount of time. If your plugin is going to add value for your, the community you're aiming to serve, that is a definite minimum viable product. Some suggestions or guidance. I'm not sure about that. I have to think on it for a moment. I think it's a good idea. But yeah, maybe I might have to ping you later on if you're in the Slack community and think on that, on how to get started. Do you have any ideas, Maria?
It's an absolutely great idea. I mean, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And if there's already something there, you can definitely build up on it. I mean, you need to check how the integration is going to be, if this existing app is supporting plugins and how it's going to happen. Coming out from the startup community, some of the best companies are actually developing plugins for other platforms. So it's absolutely a great idea, and you should definitely go on with this.
Yeah, I think just research apps around your problem statement, and I'm sure you'll find something out there.
Yeah. And of course, yeah, we can be active on the Slack, and if there are any other questions or concerns that you would like to ask, please add them on Slack, and we're gonna answer them and discuss them.
More than happy. Okay. I think our questions are kind of winding down. Like we mentioned, we can go ahead and move the conversation over. You've been very patient with us, and you've sat through a lot of content. So I think we'll definitely be respectful of your time as well. And yeah, we definitely are anxious to see you around the community, and cannot wait to see what you are going to work on and learn from this experience.
Thank you so much for joining. And again, we really look forward to seeing all your ideas and what you're going to come up to with. And enjoy the hackathon. It's going to be a great experience.
Yay, enjoy everyone.
Thank you, everyone.